All right. All right, I think everything is online. We are getting ready to go for race 1 of the playoffs. Let's go ahead and start the game. And here we go. So we are in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona for the first race of the playoffs. So we will be doing 94 laps with the starting grid looking like this. So if you missed the 2 qualifying races, you definitely go back and look at them. It should be on the YouTube page under I guess playoff race qualifying, playoff race 1 qualifying. So you can go take a look at that to see how each of them qualified. But here is the starting grid. So Grubb, Mass, Adams, Ward, and Walker Sr. all qualified in the top 10. Let's go ahead and get this started. About 13 seconds. So we will go to we'll try TV1 first. And then go from there. Let's make sure nobody has to get out. Sure, no engine troubles for anybody. Doesn't look like it, so it looks like we should be good to go for this race. The races that they start very quickly. And here we go, Grubb versus Mass. See which one of these guys can get the better start. So far I think it could be Grubb, just because his team is on a hot streak today. But you never know. Let's see what happens, see what Mass can do. And Mass finished second place in the qualified. So here we go. And really nobody. Yeah, it looks like finally Grubb did get a good push from Adams in that 23 car. As everybody starts to pack up right behind them, as Grubb just pulls away. If there's any issues lap 1, in all my testing there was no issues lap 1 for most of the races, but as you can see, most of these cars are driving extremely close to each other, as 3 wide and 4 wide are very common. As we see everything spread out, and here's our first 4 wide going on here, as we see Bowers just jump to that inside line, as there's really no yellow line rule here. And it still looks like everything went clean the last few laps. We can take a look at camera 2, see which one gives the best look. Now it looks like maybe camera 1, but look at, I mean, it's pretty very packed going like 15 to 20 lap or 20 cars back, but we will slowly start to spread out. You can see many of these cars in the back are not running for a championship. They're mostly running for a race win and good finish. As we actually see Rollins in the 45, looks like not performing too well. Currently last place, but let's go ahead and take a look at the lead. Yeah, we can see Grubb just pulling away. He definitely has one of the fastest cars. Him and his team have some of the fastest cars. as we see Rollins, who's actually part of that team as well. Ooh, tapping O'Brien a little bit, trying to get him out of the way as he's moving up actually very quickly. So may have just gotten a bad start as we are on lap 5. We got Rollins is starting to move his way up as we are seeing some cars. I guess there's a 4 wide going on. Right here with Martin, Jewett, and McFadden, and now Jarvie. Looks like they will back off slightly. Yeah, as 4 wide dies down, definitely 3 wide through most of this track is fine. 4 wide can get a little difficult in the I think turns 1 and 2, but turns like 3 for the most part is fine. As Martin almost turns McFadden, but ends up backing off towards the end of that turn. Definitely keep an eye on those guys. We scroll up to the front of the pack to see some of the playoff races going. We see Pitch in the 6 cars trying to move up to help out his teammates. It looks like Ward and Adams both have passed Mass in that 17 car. But again, Grubb is pulling away, but Adams and Ward are catching him very quickly. Take a look back at the end of the pack. Yeah, it looks like Rollins in that 45 is moving up very quickly. He was last place for about a lap, but it looks like he got whatever issues were going on with his car resolved and is now back up and running to speed. There's a 3 wide going on. So 3 wide, again, very normal here at Phoenix. As we see, I think Paul 4, Bishop 12, and then the 31 of Sheets. The Sheets gets a great run. Maybe got a little bit of a push from Thorne in that 0 car, as he just pulls away very quickly from Big Bishop and Paul, as I guess Thorne does move up a little bit as well. And then we see Walker Sr., who got into the playoffs from basically from his beginning of the season, as well as I think as he was in almost every race. He may not have performed as great as he was hoping or as he did earlier in the season, but because of those top finishes early in the season, he made the playoffs rather easily, as he started out, I think, at a top 5 position, but it does look like he may be getting pushed back a little bit, as we do see Hannah in that 16 car pass him, I think, for about 6th place. We see Grubb is starting to pull away, but we will definitely see if Ward and Adams can link up and catch him. We do have 94 laps, so there should be at least 1 pit stop. We take a look. Definitely no yellow line rule, as almost every car tries to skip that line right after the start and finish. So it's basically like that line just does not exist for them, and everybody does it. The pace car does it on caution laps. So, and nobody in the league has said anything. So you see multiple cars. Only the outside line stays above that yellow line. Could be some issues if we do have a caution, or if we do have some green flag pit stops with cars trying to enter back into the track, as well as cars jumping below that yellow line. We're watching Rollins in the 45 slowly move back up. He's in about 27th currently. He was 42nd for about a lap at the beginning of this race, as I think he just did not get into his gas at the green flag and dropped back, but throughout these last couple of laps he has moved up to 27th position, so he's moving his way, or trying to move his way back up to a good finish. He's not in the championship, so he's mostly just looking for a good finish. Take a look at some of these races going on in the top 10. Most of these cars are in the championship. They're just trying to stay above that I believe lap. Top 15 will make it. So top 15 of the 25 will make the next round. So right now it looks like Grubb is pulling away very quickly. We'll definitely see in a couple of laps if this trio of Ward, Adams, and Mass are able to catch them. Looks like Grubb pulled away a little bit from them, though they do look like they're only about 4 or 5 car lengths back. But they still are within striking distance. It looks like there may have been a crash that we missed. As yeah, there's heavy damage on a few cars. We are definitely going to have to check out this. To see what happened here. Okay, so it was actually a pretty large crash. And happened actually right in front of Roland. So when we left him. Actually, may have been Roland causing the issue. Oh, nope, 14. Gonzalez just blew an engine. And then, yeah, there was just nowhere for Rollins in that 45 to go. Bumps into him. And then Gonzalez goes straight into the wall. Jarvie's right there. And then, oh, Bowers hard hit into the side, and then Jarvie gets spun, and then O'Brien slams hard into him, and then Jarvie just goes over. And then the 57 of Taylor, and I think Martino Sanders in that 21, again hard hit into Bowers in that 9, as there was a very hard hit by a few of these guys. We take a look at a cockpit view and see what Jarvie saw. There's really nothing that he could do. I mean, he was able to drive away even after flipping over. But we'll see if he's able to come back. Do we see mostly everybody jumping into the pits? We try to get back to the live feed. And we'll definitely see if this pit stop helps Grubb. Grubb does come back out into first place. So definitely a good pit stop by him, and the Ward is right behind him. Looks like Adams got put back to maybe 4th or 5th. So they dropped all the way back to 8th, but Pitch in that 6 moved up to 3rd. Looks like Hannah in the 16 moved up. The 84 of Emerson ended up moving up as well. So definitely some movement going on. As we could take a look, see if anybody had to pull out of this race. Actually, almost everybody involved in that had to pull out. Let me go ahead and check out. Let me pull up the list of drivers for the championship, just so we can make sure if any of them were in it. Was Jarvie in it? No, Jarvie. Yep, Jarvie was in the playoffs. So Jarvie is now, because he lost, he is going to be taken out of the playoffs. I believe that's everybody. Gonzalez, I don't think, made it. Sanders. Did Sanders make it? I know some of these guys may have made it based on their points. but not necessarily a win. I think Jarvie made it because he won a race. Bowers didn't make it, and Taylor didn't make it. But yeah, so for Jarvie is the first casualty of the playoff drivers. As we see, it looks like Thorne in that 0 is coming up to take her place. Thorne is actually in the playoffs as well. There's a couple of cars coming up. It's like Martinez. I think Martinez is in it as well. And I think Moto is not in it. So Thorne and Martinez have some work to do in that 0 and 22. As we do get the green flag, we'll see. It does look like Grubb got a decent start as he is starting to pull away, and he'll continue to pull away if Ward can't get past Thorne. But Thorne does look like she's actually moving pretty quickly. Again, there is a multitude of cars. As it looks like Haas is having some issues. We have to keep an eye on him. As we do see a bunch of a lot of pack forming, and as long as everybody stays clean, usually these packs start to stretch out a little bit later. As we look forward to the lead racers, looks like Ward was finally able to get past Thorne, and then here comes Pitch in that 6. So we'll see if Ward is going to have enough speed to catch up to Grubb. So like in the qualifying race, Grubb was able to get some air in front of him and was able to just drive away from everybody. As we do see Pitch finally gets past, and then there's a few cars, so it looks like maybe Martinez and Thorne, at least in the current standings right now, they would need a little bit of help. As it looks like somebody else blew an engine. As yeah, Guerrero blew an engine. That might be getting some help because Guerrero was in the playoff as well, and it looks like he's going to be being taken out of the playoffs as well, depending on how bad his engine is. That's the second blown engine we've seen today. Because we're in lap 27 of 94. And yeah, so far I think 2 playoff drivers are out of the race and will be out of the playoffs. I mean, they're still going to make the races, the next 3 races, but they're not going to be eligible for the playoffs as they will be eliminated. But we still got a lot of race to go, and there's still, I think there's about 8 other drivers that are going to be eliminated today. As we see a ton of cars moving around. It does look like the 45 of Rollins didn't get too much damage after he hit Gonzalez when Gonzalez blew his engine. So he is still racing and is able to keep up speed. We start to scroll to the front. The Barker is moving very quickly to the front. He may be trying to catch up to help out his teammate, as we do see 2 teammates trying to catch Grubb. Definitely had a chance with that caution flag, but getting stuck behind the lapped car of Thorne definitely did not help. Though it does look like Grubb isn't pulling away as much as he was earlier in the race, as Ward right now in that 10 car is only a little under half a second back. And then Pitch is under a second as well. They are right there, though it looks like they are moving further back, though. We'll definitely see on this lap, see if they made any catch, or if they've caught up at all, if Grubb has pulled away. It looks like Grubb has actually pulled away a little bit, though it does look like Ward on this lap is starting to catch up. We'll see if Ward's teammate is going to be able to catch up. Let's see if he'll help him out. But if Ward can get beside Grubb, that definitely will give Pitch in that 6 time to catch up to them. But Yeah, it looks like they are still pulling away. He is still pulling away slowly but surely. Take a look at O'Brien. O'Brien definitely not having the greatest days, currently in 31st. As well as Parker in that 38, having some front end damage from that earlier wreck. Take a look at some battles going on at the back of the pack. As we hit lap 32 of 94. There's been a few issues today, but some fun racing. Definitely letting the cars run without too many mistakes, and letting the cars race themselves so that they do not so they're not forced into any crashes. Like earlier in the season, I think I think the race that we had here earlier in the race, the INA file, was tweaked a little too much to cause a few too many crashes. But here in the playoffs, we want to make sure that the cars, or every car, has a fighting chance, so there's not too many wrecks that they can get into, and that will cause a lot of the top drivers to get taken out. I mean, we've already seen at least two top drivers pull out of the race, which is Jarvie and then Guerrero, both in separate issues, but both caused by two blown engines. So Guerrero blew his engine slightly after, I think almost closer to the green flag, and then Gonzalez blew his engine and collected Jarvie. So it ended their playoff hopes of those two drivers. And then we have two drivers, I think Thorne and Martinez, both a lap down, so they're both in that those 10 cars that are going to be eliminated today. They're at the end of that 10 car list. Though I guess it's 8 cars right now, so they do have a ton of work to do, and they're definitely hoping that there is an issue early or further in this race that takes out a few other of the contenders. But so far, these top 3 cars right here who are contenders are right now just pulling away. Grubb is slowly pulling away further and further from Ward. It looks like the 6 is slowly caught up. It looks like the 2 cars are taking that outside line, but it does look like that inside line below the yellow is much faster. Does not... I don't think they will catch up to O'Brien. May catch up to him later in the race, but O'Brien still is able to keep up a little bit of speed, so may not be able to catch him, especially if there's an issue earlier here. As we are seeing less and less 3 wides now. As you can see, most cars have spread almost completely out of the race or onto the racetrack. As there's definitely many lines in this track, and most of them are being used, especially towards the start and finish, where they use almost the entire track. And I think we will see that here. You see everybody for the most part spreads out here in that turn and into the front straight, and then everybody squishes back up into the corner. And they're basically exiting this second corner is probably the more dangerous part of the racetrack, as cars are basically pushed back into each other, which can cause people to bump. And we've seen many cars get bumped into their side, though they have, for the most part, they've saved it. I think we saw one in qualifying, and then I think the one here was just because somebody blew an engine, so that wasn't necessarily because they got squeezed together. Blew an engine, slowed down, and then Rollins in the 45 just had nowhere to go. And as we take a look again at the lead, again, it looks like in the first 2 turns, I mean, it looks like Ward in that 10 car does slowly catch Grubb, but it feels like in the second or third and fourth turn, Grubb just kind of pulls back away, still under a half a second away. Let's see if that changes in this lap. And yeah, it looks like Ward did in that 10 car catch up, but very, very little. Let's take a look at O'Brien. O'Brien is definitely off the pace with that heavy damage, and then Custer also off the pace. Not sure if he has any damage on him though. And then we look. For the most part, cars have started to stretch out almost for the entire length of the track, with a couple passes here and there. So I know some of these guys are hoping for another caution, as we are lap 43 of 94, so there should be at least one more green, or one more or not caution, but pit stop at least. If there is a crash, or maybe more, as we are looking at the leader. The leaders are catching up to O'Brien very fast, which may be an issue for Grubb, as Ward in that 10 has caught up. He's gained about 3/10 of a second in a couple of laps. And it looks like Pitch has fallen back a little bit, as he was 0.8, now he's 1.08. Ward has caught up to Grubb very quickly. So we'll definitely see if there isn't going to be an issue once Grubb catches up to O'Brien in that heavily damaged 55. And if he does get stuck behind O'Brien, we'll see what Ward can do. Let's see. They're slowly catching him, but if Ward catches him and gets beside Grubb, definitely I think O'Brien may be able to pull away a little bit. It looked like they were catching him extremely fast. Looked like that lap they slowed down a bit, but they are now catching him fast again. I think it's because Grubb is now getting a little bit of drafting help from Ward. Maybe not intentionally, but that drafting help is helping Ward get pulled in. It does look like the 6 is catching up, but from the times, it just looks like he's getting pushed further back. But it looks like he's getting closer. I'm not sure why that is, but ooh, Grubb takes a quick dive to the inside to get beside O'Brien. So definitely a very risky move, but it worked perfectly. We'll see if Ward can get past him as quick as he did, and it does not look like. It looks like O'Brien blocked him, and that is definitely going to be an issue for Ward if O'Brien can't get out of the way fast enough. He finally gets past him, but it did take at least a corner, which is something that O'Brien didn't need. And we'll see. Pitch may pass him here in this straightaway or in the turn. I mean, O'Brien definitely cannot keep up with these cars, but he can definitely spoil a few of these guys' runs. As we see Ward back to about a half a second back after he was less than a quarter second. So definitely catch up. I'm going to take a look at some of the racing going on in the back of the pack. So not a ton. A couple 2 wides. No 3 wides going on anymore, as most cars have spread out. So definitely was a great start to this race. In that first start, and then the after caution. But now everybody's stretched out, so mostly it's just 1v1 racing. We see if Ward has caught up a little bit more. It actually looks like the Ward lost a little bit, but it looks like he's right there. Take a look at some of the cars trying to get past O'Brien in that heavily damaged 55. Looks like Adams and Emerson is working, so Emerson's currently in 6th place. So he definitely has not had the greatest season, but the biggest thing is he, I think, made every single race that he has entered. I think he only missed like maybe 5 races, but of the races he made, he did okay in a few, and then he didn't perform as well, I know, as he hoped earlier in the season. So I think he had a few strong finishes, but because he made a ton of the races, even finishing in the back half, still gaining points just to get to that top 25. And then we see, I think, a Barker at 51 trying to get past Thorne. And we definitely know that those Mayflower cars or drivers are not opposed to moving a car if they're not getting out of the way quick enough. I mean, we did see him tap Thorne in that 0 car tiny bit. You saw her wiggle a little bit outside of the, I think, corner 3 or 4. I mean, she is a lap down. She is right now just trying to stay ahead of as many cars as she can. She needs to get her lap back, and then she needs to pass a few of the playoff drivers. But right now she is currently sitting in one of those elimination spots. As we do see, Ward looks like he had slowly caught up to Grubb a little bit. He's about a third of a second back, or about a third. So he is right there. We'll see if he's able to catch up. Looks like he may gained like a 0.03 on that lap. They are, I think, slowly catching up to Custer. Custer is in one of the slower cars. I don't think he was involved in that altercation earlier in the race. But he definitely is in one of the slower cars. He's right now just racing for a good finish. As we hit lap, I think, 58 of 94. As the top 2 cars right now are just driving away from the rest of the pack. Take a look at, actually, Custer is the last car on the lead lap at 21 seconds back. So NR8 right now, Custer is just hoping somebody makes a mistake and ends up getting turned so that he can get back around and caught back up to the end of that pack. So currently it does not look like he will. Martinez, who's the lap down in that 22, is falling farther and farther back, so he looks like he may be eliminated as multiple cars continue to pass him. So it does not look like his car is performing as well as he had hoped today here at Phoenix, but he definitely had a great season if he's not able to catch back up. So any of these playoff drivers had a great season. Definitely going to be able to make some good upgrades after the season. And again, we have Grubb and Ward right now. It looks like Ward is dropping back again. As that air right now, actually looks like Grubb now has decided to come into the pits. We'll see if anybody else comes in with him or if he's going to be one of the early ones. It looks like O'Brien's coming in. So it looks like maybe Grubb and O'Brien, only ones coming in. It looks like Green's coming in. Parker. But it does look like the other leaders are still going around. Ward, who I believe is in that... Ward, who's currently in first place, is taking another lap. Ooh, there's a caution. somewhere. Don't see any damaged cars anywhere, so we may have to just go searching. But somewhere caused a caution, and not sure where. So let's go figure it out. There's caution. J. King and Davis. Are those two teammates? I'm not even sure. Let's see what happens here. Did he just get a flat tire, or did Davis push him out of the way? It looks like Davis kind of bumped his corner, put him into the wall, and he loses it himself. Slides up and gets collected into the wall, and the King nowhere to go as Davis slides up into him, and both into the wall. I mean, at least they are at the top of the track where nobody else is at. We'll see if Davis is able to get back going straight. Yep, he is. So that is our second caution. Not too much, but Davis and King. For some reason, I think they're teammates. I'm not sure if they're teammates or not. Somebody else can let me know. But that is our second caution. I believe between two playoff drivers. So I know Jay King is in the playoffs. Davis, yeah, both are in the playoffs. And I think both are in the same team. As something happened to Weber as well. Weber has not had the last two or last couple of races. As we will go green flag this time by. Go ahead and take a look. Yeah, it looks like Jay King and Davis, so they didn't get a lap down, but they did have some damage. I think Davis has some front end damage, so we will have to see if that affects his aerodynamics at all. Looks like Weber in that 33 got put a lap down. He is in the playoffs, but it looks like he's going to. Yeah, it looks like he's not gonna be doing well. Looks like Grubb is still in the lead, but not leading the pack. He's about 4 cars back with some lapped cars in front of him. We'll see how well Grubb in that 15 can get through some of these guys. They're now 15, 10, 51. And then Emerson, of course, in that 84 car. We'll see, as you see, wow, these cars 4 wide going into that corner, pushing up as that Barker in that 51, which may cause some issues. Oh, somebody turns, I think that was Thorne. You're right in the middle of the pack, and his cars are just trying to get out of the way. There's Srivastava. He's in the playoffs, and then yeah, Bishop is in the playoffs as well. And then there goes Custer in that 00. So something happened between, I know Thorne, something happened. It looks like, oh, Ward is heading into the pits. We try to find somebody. Look at Srivastava, see what happened. So somebody turned Thorne in that zero car as she's trying to make her way back. Yeah, she's trying to make her way back onto the lead lap to make up a couple positions, and it looks like somebody just turned her. Actually, looks like it may have been Barker. So as we're watching, yeah, it may have been, you know, Thorne may have just not seen Barker in that 51, turned into him, and then there's nowhere to go. Haas in that 8, yeah, just an innocent bystander as Thorne was turning, nowhere for him to go, and then he's just spinning in the front of everybody. And then, of course, this sign is in the way. But yeah, as you can see, there's nowhere for any of these guys to go. For the most part, they were all 3 wide anyway. And then there's Emerson, who was having a great day racing. I think he was top 6. We may have had some back end damage. There's many of the top drivers are here. Ooh. There's Wayne King, he's in the playoffs. The 56, Walker Jr., he's in the playoffs. Bishop in the playoff. Jay King, who was involved in that earlier, in the playoffs. Brooks is in the playoffs, and then Brooks and King both turned straight into Thorne. And then there's Wayne King in that 20. And then, of course, these guys just slamming into each other. Srivastava was in the playoffs as well, purely because he raced in every single race. Prescott, I think, was in the playoffs as well. As those things start to get sorted out. And everybody else races back to the line to try to get somewhere. And we go to fast forward to get back to the live. But you do see Ward jumping into the pits first. I'm not sure why he had to go into the pits. We'll check out him to see if he is going to end up, because that puts him very far back, especially if nobody else pits. And it doesn't look like anybody else is going to pit, so maybe he jumped into the pits a little earlier thinking everybody else was going to pit, and then they didn't. So that yellow flag pit stop put him back into 22nd position from second. And then Martinez in that 2. Or 22 is having a little fun with Nick Hanna in that 16. So everybody taking the green flag. Nobody really between the 2 teammates. Well, I think Hanna in that 16 and Martinez in that 22 somehow ended up getting put into the wrong spots. And now they're both trying to get to the same position. We do take the green flag, and yep, they were in the wrong position, and that's going to cause an issue for everybody. As we go back to the green flag, because of Martinez and Hanna, they just would not give themselves the position. Some of these camera angles that this track has are not the greatest. You see they're getting ready to go green. Yeah, and then Hanna in the 16 and Martinez in the 22. Hanna in that 16 is just trying to get on the other side of Martinez, and Martinez is trying to stay on that lower end, and they just move up. Yeah, and then as Oh, and that actually collects. I think Roland's in that 45. Roland's hard hit into the outside wall, and then again a ton of these top drivers just nowhere to go. I mean, at least for the most part, they didn't get fully up to speed, though they were in the gas as this crash was happening. So I think a few of them may have bumped into somebody, and we see Jay King just flying beside. It looks like he's trying to gain a couple of positions. And we'll see what Jay King does. You see the 11 right there. You see the 11 coming up. We'll see if he's able to keep all of these positions. As everybody does get going, we'll see if there's any other shenanigans going on. I mean, it looks like cars are just trying to sort themselves out. So that is a huge pack going on right here. And it looks like the computer is going to end up figuring themselves out pretty easily. So we can go ahead and get back to live and see who's going to pit. Probably a few of the cars that got spun. Did somebody end up get turned sideways? A grub for some reason. Sometimes the computer is just so dumb. Brooks, for some reason, is just flying, trying to get past everybody, and just hard hits into the leader. What was Brooks doing? And here comes Jay King as well. I mean, Brooks is in the playoffs, so I'm not sure what he was doing. Ooh. Yeah, there's nowhere there. I'm not sure why he was speeding past everybody so quickly and just takes out the leader. I mean, it does look like he's going to be able to get going again. It does look like Grubb is going to get back into first place, but he definitely has some damage. We're going to go ahead and take a look, see if anybody else retired. Yeah, Brooks, after that hit, ends up getting pulled out. It looks like Walker Jr., Bishop, Custer, all out of the race. Let's see if we can stay clean for a little bit, as we're on lap 76 of 94, so we are getting very close to the end of this first playoff event. We will see how that hit damaged Grubb in this 15, who for the most part has been dominating this race. The 16 right behind him is in second place, which may be helped by this. And then the 45, who got pushed into the wall earlier as well, is right behind them. So I think it looks like Grubb is definitely not himself. You can see he is very slow. So this is definitely not what Mayflower wanted to see. He may have a tire going down, as he didn't have enough time to go into the pits. We do see Moto in that 34 going into the pits. But yeah, there's definitely something wrong with the 15. As you can see, we had heavy damage in the side. And again, there's a huge pack forming behind him as he's not able to keep speed. We're just hoping everybody can stay safe a little bit and nobody bumping into each other and turning anybody, as Grubb is just getting stuck behind that 6 car. That 6 car definitely does not want to get stuck behind him. Going 4 wide, and almost that Torres in that 29 almost gets turned by the 6. just everybody getting stuck behind the 15 of Torres. Torres needs to get probably into the pits, as he is definitely not going very fast. He's back to 12th position. If he has a tire going down, definitely something wrong. As we do see that the 16 is leading, followed by Mass right behind him, and then the 45 of Rollins. But yeah, as we're watching the 15 of Grubb, definitely not something we wanted to see. With Brooks steering the caution, slamming hard into Grubb, who is the race leader, who for the most part has dominated this race, and he is just dropping like a rock. So definitely something wrong with his car. I believe he may be far enough ahead of some of these guys that as long as there's no other issues, he may be able to stay in the top 15, as he's in 15th currently, but he most likely needs to get into the pits at some point. Yeah, cars are just flying past him. We do see the 10 actually behind him too. I think the 10 ended up having to take a pit stop on the green flag. As yeah, the 10 of Ward is a lap down. I think we're at 21 cars on the lead lap. So definitely something going on with the 10 cars. He's had to pit a few times. But yeah, Brooks right now currently 15th. We'll see what place he is after this. But he definitely needs to stay in front of some of these playoff cars to have a chance. But definitely something went down. Him and Brooks just came and just slammed into him at the end of, or at the during caution lap, towards the end of that caution lap. And now Grubb is just falling. Currently 18th position. He needs to get to the 15th or get ahead of some of these guys, but still hasn't taken a pit stop. I mean, a pit stop may be, even though he'd go a lap down, maybe the best, as he does have one of the fastest cars. But we're going to keep an eye on him later as we scroll back up to the front of the pack, or the front, or the leaders, where Grubb's teammate Rollins is trying his hand to try to win a race. Rollins is not in the playoffs, but he can definitely win the race and take home a pretty good payday. And then of course Hannah, I believe, is in the playoffs, so he is looking for a win and a good finish so he can move on to the next level. Yep, Hannah is in the playoffs. And here comes Mass in that 17, trying to get past Rollins, as he is slowly getting past him. Barker Mayflower of the Mayflower Racing is right behind them as well. So still two teammates in two teammates are right there. Looks like third and fourth, though only one of them right now is in the playoff running. So definitely an interesting race so far. There were a few normal incidents, a couple blown engines causing a wreck, and then a couple of cars as we take a look at Grubb, who just was dominating this race, and he was just dominating this race, and then Brooks, steering the caution, just came through and smashed into him. That is definitely not what Mayflower wanted to see, and is not what really anybody wanted to see. Ward, who was close to the top as well for most of the race, before he started having some car troubles and having to come into the pits. Here's some green flag and yellow flag. He is down to 26th position, a lap down. He definitely has a ton of work to do to try to get to the 15th, get in front of or get to that 15th in that championship race. We'll definitely see who makes it after this race. As we see Hannah just is leading this race. We have about 4 laps remaining. If Hannah can win, yeah, I think it would be. Did Hannah win a race during the season? He may have. I don't think Hannah has won a race in the season yet. He made it through points. Where's Bishop? So yeah, it's going to be an interesting to see if he can win the first race of the playoffs. He does have a lapped car of Wayne King in front of him, who did make the who made the playoffs as well. As here comes Hannah, just dives down. I mean, it does look like King did stay out of his way, so King definitely doing a good. Yeah, Wayne King definitely did the sportsman thing to do and just get out of the way for the leaders. As we see Rollins caught up to Hannah as we are hitting lap 93 of 94. And there shouldn't be anybody else, but Rollins is right here, diving to the inside of Hannah, and nobody's in front of Rollins. Rollins does have some heavy damage on his right side, but does not look like it's slowing him down at all. Rollins has the help of 17 of mass, and he does complete that pass. And though here comes Hannah back crossing Rollins over. He does have that inside line, which is definitely the fastest line of the track. We'll see his O's. I don't know what happened to Mass. Mass seems to got loose in that corner. So it doesn't look like either of these cars are going to have any drafting help. As here they come to the checkered flag. And I'm not sure who won that. I think it was. Looks like Rollins ended up winning that. Yeah, I believe, yeah, these, so some of these camera angles are definitely not the greatest. We do see, it looks like Rollins did win by just a nose. Yeah, Rollins gets past Hannah towards the end of the race and wins the race. I think his first race of the season. It is a playoff race. He is not in contention for the playoff. So Hannah in that 16 did finishing in front of everybody, all the playoff cars. So he did finish leading. So we take a look at the official standings. Let's go ahead and export this P1 and take a look. At who? So the top 15 will make it. So it looks like Hannah made it. Mass was in it, so he made it. Adams made it. Barker, was he in it? Did he win a race? Yeah, Barker ended up winning a race. So we'll see in the bottom 10. I think that would probably be the easiest. Bottom 10. So Jarvie won. Or Jarvie is the first eliminated. Reeves, Sanders, Guerrero 2, Srivastav 3, Bishop 4, Walker Jr. 5, Brooks 6, and Haas making Davis 7, Thorne 8, Martinez 9. It looks like Ward is 10. And then everybody else in front of Ward will make it. So I'll probably have to figure that out and then push that out to make sure that everybody did it. But it does look like Grubb ended up making it after that terrible yellow flag issue between him and Brooks. Brooks basically just took himself out of the playoffs by trying to. He looked like he tried to take out Grubb, but ended up not working for him, as Grubb looks like he will at least go to the next event. So at least that was good. So definitely some interesting races. Yeah, Jay King was involved in a few races, ended up making it. Though we only had, so we did have 30 drivers finish the race, and then 20 drivers finished on the lead lap. So it's definitely an interesting race, fun race. I'll definitely post the, I guess the next round of cars after this. So I'll figure it out, go sit through and go through the standings just to make sure we get the correct cars going on to the next one. So top 15 of the 25 will make it to race or playoff 2, and then we'll be good to go. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you guys for the next qualifying event.